Don't let YouTube decide what information you get. That's your choice. YouTube is deleting our videos and cuts you off from a source of honest reporting. Make sure you don't lose access to NTD's news content, and take a quick moment to subscribe to our newsletter so no matter what happens here, you'll keep your access to a trustworthy news source.
And teachers against New York City's vaccine mandate had their day in court, and many gathered outside the trial awaiting the results. NTD's Jason Perry went to the federal courthouse to find out more.
We're here in New York City, right outside of the federal courthouse in Manhattan. Teachers for Choice founder Michael Cain and 8 others filed a temporary restraining order against the New York City Department of Education to try to end the vaccine mandates for adults, and their request was denied.
So we did not prevail today. There is not an injunction, but there is still a way forward.
Cain's attorney Sujata Gibson says the city's vaccine policy discriminates based on what religion you belong to.
The mayor has gone on record saying he will only accept religious exemptions from 2 religions. That violates the Establishment Clause.
Susan, who is a teacher in New York City, also noted that Christian Scientists and Jehovah's Witnesses were getting religious exemptions while other religions were not. She attended the last 2 hearings against New York City's Department of Education, or DOE.
Exactly. The first judge the other day, last week, questioned DOE representatives. Do you understand that this is religious discrimination, which will bring up more lawsuits in the future with you, DOE?
America was founded on the belief that there are certain rights that it's not supposed to be given by the government, it's given by God. And whether you believe in God I'm not a religious person myself, but that idea that we have these certain inalienable rights that are given to us by God, that has to be honored.
Michael Cain says although they lost their battle in court today, he said they will not lose the war. And his attorney said she'll continue to look at all the options and then choose the best way forward. Jason Perry, NTD News, New York.
A dozen villages are underwater in northwest China. Flood levels in some regions are rising to historic heights, affecting hundreds of thousands of residents. And just a warning, some viewers may find the following footage disturbing due to its graphic nature. NTD's Tiffany Meyer has more.
Outside of Shanxi, other regions are also coping with flood damage. Farmers in China's Henan province are struggling, dealing with devastated crops and drowned livestock. Online videos reveal the situation, where many of those affected have reportedly gotten little in terms of aid. Clips show many farmers using outdated or primitive farming equipment to repair their land, while some have resorted to full-on manual labor. The images have raised the question of just how developed is rural China, and how much does Beijing support the nation's farmers? In some villages, floodwaters measure up to 6.5 feet deep, while a number of locals say Chinese authorities are releasing even more excess floodwater without warning residents. More reports of flood damage are coming out of northwestern China. Excess water has breached one riverbank in the country's Shanxi province amid continuous heavy rains. The resulting flood drowned 12 small towns there. The downpour first hit Dali County and Shanxi province over the weekend. The water level of the river there rose to a historical high before the overflow. According to Chinese state media, the river water flooded over 80,000 acres of farmland, impacting close to 250,000 residents. Local authorities reported an economic loss of over $70 million, though we cannot verify these figures independently. In recent months, Dali County has seen 5 different instances of multi-day downpours. Total rainfall there has reached about 27 inches. September's rain levels averaged nearly 3 times higher than in the same period from previous years. After this most recent flood, local authorities reportedly provided victims with little to no assistance, driving locals to call for help online. A netizen posted on social media platform Weibo, asking, can anyone pay attention to the flood in Dali County, Shanxi province? It's really serious. Another poster wrote, people here were the first to leave. Most of them were urged by officials to find refuge with their relatives and friends. The person added, the people of Shanxi province had to help themselves. In addition to the flood reports, heavy rain is also causing other destruction. In another part of Shanxi, a landslide struck a road on Monday, halting cars and trucks in their tracks. Witnesses caught the moment on camera and later shared it online.
Chinese property firms took heavy fire in bond markets on Tuesday. This after the poster child of the sector's woes, Evergrande Group, missed its third round of bond payments in weeks. And the number of debt-saddled companies rose to 4.
China Evergrande missed a fresh round of bond payments on Tuesday. The ailing property developer was due to pay $148 million to overseas creditors. That's its third miss in as many weeks, and expectations of any payment were always slim. Evergrande has liabilities of more than $300 billion, including nearly $20 billion in offshore debt. The firm has been prioritising domestic creditors, but the mounting fears of a messy collapse are now hammering the whole Chinese property sector. Another developer, Modern Land, is asking for more time to repay what it owes, while Cynic Holdings said it would likely default next week on bonds worth $250 million. That company's shares were suspended last month after plunging nearly 90%. Traders have also been unable to buy or sell Evergrande shares after trading in them was suspended last week. Shanghai's stock exchange data showed the top 5 losers among exchange-traded bonds in Tuesday morning deals were all issued by property firms.
And a federal judge ruled that New York State cannot impose a vaccine mandate on healthcare workers without allowing their employers to consider religious exemption requests. The U.S. District Judge ruled that New York State's workplace vaccination requirement conflicted with healthcare workers' federally protected right to seek religious accommodations from their employers. The ruling provides a test case as workers continue fighting vaccine mandates in court. And shoplifting is on the rise in New York City, especially in pharmacies. And employees are saying they can't do much about it. NTD's Arian Pazdar investigated at some drug retailers in Manhattan.
Lipstick. It's small, but it can easily cost you $20 or $30. Now, you would expect women to buy this, but some men want it so much they resort to stealing it. Shoplifters walk in a store like this one, take what they want, and then they sell it on the street. All this shoplifting, of course, results in missing items, half-empty shelves and completely empty shelves. As you can see, it's mostly the pricey items that are harder to get now if you want to buy them legally. I spoke with different employees and they all said that lately shoplifters have been hitting them every day. One employee said, "Which pharmacy doesn't get robbed these days? We've been robbed just 1 hour ago." I asked the city's police department what they're planning to do about the ongoing issue. They didn't answer the question, but sent a statement saying complaints for shoplifting have gone up. Last year at this time, they had 20,000 such complaints. This year, it's at 26,000 so far. So why are people stealing so much these days? The NYPD blames it on bail reform, which took effect in New York City last year. Because of it, shoplifters, among other offenders, get released the same day they commit a crime. According to reports, one man has been arrested for shoplifting almost 60 times this year alone. He's not in prison, and it doesn't look like the laws are going to change anytime soon. Arian Pazdar, NTD News, New York.
California's governor recently signed a bill that makes ethnic studies a requirement to graduate from high school. NTD's David Lamb reports.
California Governor Gavin Newsom recently signed Assembly Bill 101, and it affects California high school students in public and charter schools. Starting with the graduating class of the 2030 school year, all students must complete a semester of ethnic studies. Middle schools are also required to offer at least a one-semester course in ethnic studies, commencing with the 2025-26 school year. Assemblyman Jose Medina, who authored the bill, said in a statement that this curriculum is long overdue. Students cannot have a full understanding of the history of our state and nation without the inclusion of the contributions and struggles of Native Americans, African Americans, Latinos, and Asian Americans. Secretary of State Shirley Weber also supports the bill.
But some parents have claimed that the ethnic studies model curriculum will sow hatred and racial diversion because it's based on critical race theory. which classifies people based on privilege and skin color. Now, this new legislation makes California the first state with this graduation requirement. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
A county in California voted against vaccine passports. The Board of Supervisors says such mandates are harmful to the public. Here's NTD's Cynthia Kai with more.
California's San Joaquin County voted on Tuesday to adopt a resolution prohibiting mandatory vaccine passports by any government office, board, agent, or private businesses. Introduced by Supervisor Tom Patty, the resolution states that a person's vaccination records are private and vaccine passports would cause more harm to the public.
And whereas a vaccine passport would become the next generation of a show-me-your-papers totalitarian regime.
After over 2 hours of public comments, mostly in support of the resolution, the Board of Supervisors voted 4-0 in favor of the resolution, with one supervisor absent.
Our mind, our body, we're Americans, we make our own decisions. So I can't support anything when the governor says, take a shot, and if you don't believe in it, why should you take it?
The Board of Supervisors say businesses have suffered throughout the pandemic, and that such restrictions will further harm many small businesses.
As to the mandates, for me personally, I do support the resolution, and anything that comes along that inhibits your freedom, you should be, very suspicious. And I believe the greatest risk is giving up your fundamental rights.
However, San Francisco and Los Angeles recently adopted mandatory vaccine verification to enter certain indoor facilities. California is also the first state to adopt COVID vaccines as a requirement for indoor learning once the FDA approves a vaccine for children in grades K through 6 and 7 through 12. Cynthia Kai, NTD News, California.
The Florida Department of Health is fining one of the state's counties over $3.5 million for imposing vaccine mandates. The county's move violates Florida's ban on vaccine passports. NTD's Grace Coulter has the story.
Florida's Leon County has been slapped with a $3.5 million fine from the Florida Department of Health. Governor Ron DeSantis announced the news in a tweet Tuesday. He said the county violated Florida law and fired 14 employees for not complying with the county's forced vaccination policy. The health department's notice of violation states the county's facing 714 counts for requiring employees to provide proof of vaccination. Florida banned vaccine passports in May. Under the law, the Department of Health is able to issue fines of up to $5,000 per person who's asked to show vaccination status. Leon County announced in July that its employees had to be fully vaccinated by October 1st. In a statement to WCTV, Leon County Administrator Vince Long said there's a genuine disagreement about the applicability of the law. He added the county will enforce its rights using any legal remedies available if necessary. Long's previously defended the county's mandate and said it would hold up in court. DeSantis said in his tweet, no one should lose their job over the vaccine. He further wrote, we must protect the jobs of Floridians and preserve the ability of Floridians to make their own decisions regarding what shots to take. Texas is also coming down hard on vaccine requirements. The state's governor, Greg Abbott, issued an executive order on Monday banning vaccine mandates by any entity, public or private. The Florida Department of Health has given Leon County 30 days to pay the fine. Grace Coulter, NTD News.
Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to catch all of our programs on TV. NTD Evening News is on every weekday at 6:30 p.m. Find your local NTD channel at ntd.com/TV.